prepared to offer," she said, making a second column. She went through all 3 problems and listed solutions, including an extra 5 seconds of left turn time on the signal at the top of the off-ramp. The board members listened, and when she was done, they once again looked at Mr. Berman. "That does sound good," he began. Sound good? It was better than good. It was a once-in-a-lifetime deal. It was everything the university had asked for. It was 0-calorie brownie with ice cream. "There's still one problem," Mr. Berman said. "Which is?" she asked. 4 acres on the county line." The voice came from the doorway. Charity turned and saw a man entering the conference room. He was tall and blond, good-looking to the point of being almost another species, and he moved with an easy athletic grace that made her feel instantly awkward. He looked vaguely familiar, but she was sure they'd never met before. He gave her a quick smile. The flash of teeth, the millisecond of attention, nearly knocked her into the wall. Who was this guy? "Bernie," the stranger said, turning the megawatt grin on the group leader. "I heard you were in town. You didn't call me for dinner." Mr. Berman actually looked interested. "I thought you'd be busy with your latest conquest." Blonde guy shrugged modestly. "I always have time for anyone from the university. Sharon, Martin." He greeted everyone else at the table, shook a few hands, winked at the old lady at the end, then turned back to Charity. "Sorry to interrupt. I'm sure under normal circumstances you could deal with this problem without breaking a sweat. But the reason we don't have a deal isn't the lease reversion or the traffic light." He moved close and took the pen from her hand. "It's the 4 acres the university has been offered by a very wealthy alumni family. They want their name on the building, and they're willing to pay for that privilege." He flashed another smile at Charity, then turned back to the board. "I'm going to explain why that's a bad idea." And then he started talking. She had no idea who he was, and probably should have told him to leave, but she couldn't seem to move or speak. It was as if he projected some space alien force field that kept her immobilized. Maybe it was his eyes, she thought, gazing into their hazel-green depths. Or his sun-bleached lashes. It might have been the way he moved, or the heat she felt every time he walked by her. Or maybe she'd simply inhaled some weird gas when her computer had sparked, flamed out, and died. While she enjoyed a boy-girl encounter as much as the next woman, she'd never been mesmerized by a man before. Certainly not during a professional meeting that she was supposed to be running. She knew the type, though. Had seen the power of the havoc they brought with them everywhere they went. Self-preservation stated she should stay far, far away. And she would, just as soon as the meeting was over. She squared her shoulders, determined to regain control of herself and the meeting. Then her mystery invader's words sunk in. A gift of prime real estate would be hard for any university to refuse. No wonder Mr. Berman hadn't been interested in her solution. It didn't address the problem. "The research you're talking about is important to all of us," Blonde Guy concluded, "which is why the city's offer is the best one on the table." Charity forced her attention to Mr. Berman, who was nodding slowly. "You've made some good points, Josh." "Just showing you a few things you might not have thought of," Blonde Guy said modestly. Blonde Guy, who was apparently named Josh. "Charity's done all the work." She frowned. He was taking over her nervous system and her meeting and trying to give her credit? Not at all, she said, relieved the power of speech had returned. "Who could compete with your excellent points?" Josh actually winked at her, then reached for the folder on the table. "This is the letter of intent. I think the signing has been put off long enough, don't you, Bernie?" Mr. Berman nodded slowly, then pulled a pen out of his suit jacket pocket. "You're right, Josh." Then, just like that, he signed the paper, giving Charity the victory she'd so desperately wanted. Somehow she'd hoped it would be a tiny bit sweeter. In a matter of minutes, everyone had shaken hands, murmured about setting up the next meeting to get the planning going, and left. Charity was alone in the conference room, only the lingering smell of burned plastic and the sign